Hey Ira, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Max? What's
Yeah,
going on?
everything's good. Everything is good, and it's always great to hear from you. I appreciate appreciate you for reaching out. How's everything with you?
Yeah, thank God. Good. Can't believe it's August.
Oh,
I'm glad. I'm glad football's coming up. But to be honest with you, I wish you weren't in training camp and it was still summertime
yeah, I
because
know.
once,
This summer's blown by too quick.
yeah, wait till you get my age. It really goes quick.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's, yeah, I can't believe I've worked at the pools outside now for almost 2 months. It's hard to believe it. I felt like it was just.
Yeah, and it's already going to be September here in another couple weeks, and then the cold weather's going to be creeping in towards October, and then we're going to be deep into the season. Hopefully, the Jets will be playing meaningful games. And why don't we get right into it? I mean, I did
Sure.
want your reaction to because I was ready to just wave the white flag, throw in the towel when I saw the
Oh.
that Justin Fields was carted off the field. I said, "You got to be kidding me!" I thought it was going to be worse than what it was.
Well, it's funny. I was driving to work and somebody called me and told me what happened. And, they told me the same thing that the whole world heard, right?
Hmm.
So I said, oh, you got to be kidding me. This season's going to be a waste of time. This guy's out for the year. They carted him off. I like Tyrod Taylor, but I really just, we've discussed, I think the last show we talked about it. The only thing that's important this year is whether Justin Fields is a quarterback for next year. That's
Hmm.
all that counts. And by the time I get to the pool, and they're saying, "Oh man, this is going to be a waste of time." So thank goodness it turned out to be. We got a break for change.
I know because in the past we know what's happened with Rodgers going down first game, Vinny Testaverde. We always lose our quarter. Mark Sanchez in preseason, we can really just go on. Geno Smith getting punched in the face and getting his jaw broken. It's just it never ends with
Well,
this team.
name it. I think I broke his shoulder, broke his leg.
Hmm.
Many years ago. Yeah, I think they were playing the Lions, and he went to make a tackle on it after he threw a pick. And he got himself hurt and he missed most of the season.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It is. It's never ending. It's just this team just has some kind of weird curse around it with the quarterback. I don't understand it, but I'm glad the injury wasn't as bad as that we all thought it would be. And you're right with Tyrod Taylor. I like him, but you know that he's going to be going down next if he started. If Fields was definitely
Oh,
out.
of course, and the one thing, and I kind of discussed this with a couple of friends. Um, I mean, in all honesty, if Taylor was your starter and played 15 out of 17 games, or Justin Fields is your guy for 15 or 17 games, the win-loss totals are going to be somewhat similar.
Hmm.
And matter of fact, Taylor might even give him a better chance to win. But at the end of the day, it's not about really. Well, it's always about winning. But at the end of the day, like we just said, it's about developing a quarterback. And you know what? If he gets hurt or things aren't going well, at least you got Taylor that maybe could win you some ball games.
Hmm. Yeah, I have faith in him. It's just the injuries that worry me with Taylor. You saw how he really had a spark every time he came in when they benched Rodgers last year, and we got to look at the other injury that's kind of a little concerning with the calf of Quinnen Williams. What are your thoughts on that?
That scares me.
Hmm.
It may mean nothing. It may mean nothing more than just a scratch. But I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be a doctor. But nobody will ever convince me. I don't care if there were 50 doctors in this room talking to me right now. That calf injury to Rogers led to the Achilles,
Hmm. It
and
always does.
I'll never believe anything different.
Hmm. Yeah, because remember that he was icing it in camp. He was on the bike. He was nursing it, and then he tears his ACL or his
Yep,
Achilles the first
yeah, the
game there.
Achilles. Yep, and I think the calf, was a precursor to the Achilles injury.
Hmm.
And let's, I mean, it sound. There's two things with the Quinn Williams thing. Okay, either it's a little more than not saying anything,
Hmm.
or it's the same calf. I think I just read it this morning. He injured the same calf last year or the year before. I forgot what it said. And maybe they're just being really cautious and smart. and that would be a good thing.
It would
So
be.
because they need him because they don't have too much depth in the interior defensive line.
No, they don't. And how did you feel about the extensions of Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner right away? I still feel as though that they have more to prove. My thoughts on Garrett Wilson and especially Sauce's year last year. How do you feel about them giving the extensions early?
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the cap, and I think they really don't start paying through the nose for 2 years. I get all of that. But if I was a general manager, I had no problem giving Wilson the money because if you didn't, he would have been crying like a baby all year. So
he's going to be doing that anyway.
No, I don't think so. I think he's matured a little, so I didn't have a problem with the Wilson. Gardner, I would have held off. Mm-hmm. I would have made it. I would have made him earn the money.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. Did you hear Breece Hall say that he's not their guy and he's got more to prove? Because I don't know. Because remember we talked about it that he was going to be the odd man out of him getting extended out of that draft class.
Well, I mean, if Jermaine Johnson comes back, I mean, I don't know what to expect from him.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say he comes back. Let's say he's full go by the end of October, and he's 90% of what he was. Mm-hmm. All right, they're gonna have to give him some money the following year,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If let's say a miracle happens and Fields is the quarterback of the future,
mm-hmm.
right? They might have to tear up his contract and sign him to a 5-year deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if Isaiah Davis and Allen have good seasons, I think Hall's the odd man out, and I know Glenn is pumping them up, and the offensive coordinator's pumping them up, and it's just if they're 1-7, 2-6, and things aren't going well, and I don't know, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, I don't know, Eagles, Eagles lose Barkley, God forbid, he gets hurt. But just to get a second or third round pick for Hall and they're having a crappy year, you don't think they'd ship him out in the second?
Oh, they probably would, especially on the production that he had last year. It was disappointing.
Of course,
mm-hmm.
of course. And I saw a video of I think it was today. Glenn was in Hall's ear and telling him he's the man and all of this stuff. And yeah, I get that, but that's also that's like the kiss of death. Whenever you hear a coach talking to players or talking about players, the next thing you know, they're out the door.
Exactly.
I remember when Joe Douglas told Sam Darnold's parents, "I'm going to build a fortress around your son," and that fortress ended up in other cities, not in New York.
Yeah, and then we had the abysmal collapsing fortress of Zach Wilson come in.
Right, exactly. Well, let me ask you a take on this. How do you feel about Nick Folk coming in?
It's interesting. I will say that it's definitely interesting.
Well, I always liked him. Mm-hmm. I think that it was a no-brainer because the two guys I had, they were really, really shaky.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have an issue with it. And he's coming off of 2 good years, but I get it. Kickers are like relief pitchers. 1 year from the next, you never know. But I feel a lot more secure because you would think we're going to be playing in a lot of one-score games. You hope.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like this is not going to be like an offensive juggernaut that we're going to have. So I think they're going to probably average somewhere between 20 to 23 points at most.
Mm-hmm. So
I think every point counts, and I got to have a reliable kicker, and I trust Folk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. If you think about it, he was one of our best play. He was the best player for a couple of years there for us, winning us all those games with his field goal kicks.
Yeah. Now I forget when he left after 15 or 16. I think that's when they brought in Myers, right?
That's right. Yeah, they brought in Myers. Yeah, they brought him in, and he wasn't that bad, but.
Myers was good for the Jets,
mm-hmm.
and they didn't want to pay him, and then he got all this money from Seattle. They gave him a real nice contract for a kicker, and I believe the last I looked, I think he's still kicking for them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that because the Jets didn't want to pay him, and then we didn't have a good kicker until Greg the leg. Well, he really didn't have much of a leg.
Right? Yeah, he had the one good season, you know.
Yeah, that was it.
And you know, it's funny. I've lost track of the names. I'd have to look it up, but man, I think they went through like 15 to 18 to 20 kickers.
Oh, it was horrible.
It was awful. Like in one year, they had like 5 to 7 different kickers.
I remember the guy. Remember Bullock? I think they had a guy named Bullock. I remember that.
Yep, yep. And then they brought in. I think it was for opening day. I think they brought in that left-footed kicker from the Ravens. I forget his name, and he came in, and I think Salah during warm-ups he knew he was in trouble. I think he didn't even want to kick an extra point. You know, of course. I think of course he missed some field goals early, but you know, what's your take on Aaron Glenn? What's your from what you read and what you hear? What you feel about it?
I like him so far because I feel as though that this is something we haven't really seen in a while. We usually see the Jets are kind of like a circus with all the news and the headlines where it's just an airtight ship. You don't hear anything come out anymore.
Not a word. I mean, now once again, this summer, this is like a weird summer with me with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've reached a point where you have to show me now. There's no more expectations. There's no more, okay, they're going to win 10 games. Show me. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all I want. Just show me. And the one thing is that you wouldn't even know there's a New York Jets football team in New York.
Yeah, it's like they're non-existent.
Right, and that to me that's a good thing. It's kind of refreshing, and I'm really looking forward. Maybe that's why I'm looking forward to next Saturday night watching them against the Packers so much. Even though, we'll get into this hopefully. I would play the starters, but that's just me. I'm very very curious to see what the Jets are about because nobody knows, they could be practicing in some high school field. Nobody knows.
Yeah, no one knows. But they've been saying some of the stars of camp. Michael Clemens, did you see that? They're saying he's lighting it up. This is why I don't like reading in too much to camp because because camp is always the opposite of the season.
That's right. I going into this season, I finally came after all these years. Okay, 31 years of going to camp. I finally came to the realization that I've gone too many summers, watched these guys practice. Oh man, they're gonna make a run for the division. This team stinks, and they end up being good. Or this team, we had 2 years with Rodgers, they should go to the Super Bowl, and they ended up with 2 lousy years. So it's like, wake me up when the season starts.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always just a big letdown in the end when you really think that they're going to do something based on their camp performances. That's why I don't read too much into it. But I mean, and then they got this other guy too, not aside from Michael Clemens lighting it up supposedly, but the new receiver that they got, Arian Smith, they've been saying he could be a star.
Yeah, well, and he might be, and maybe the Jets got it right, and maybe Mel Kiper was wrong. I mean, I never heard of the kid, and this kid can't catch the ball, and he's a speedster, but he can't hold on to the ball. So Aaron Glenn, I don't know if you've been following his press conference much. He took a shot at the media, and I kind of respect Glenn because as a man, he's doing it his way, and he's either going to be very successful. And his way is going to work, or he's going to stick with his way, and it's not going to work, and the media is going to run him out of town. It's going to be one or the other. It's going to be one or the other. So he took his first shot at the media with the whole Justin Fields issue, and he kind of threw it back in their face. You guys created this. Well, I'm not really, I guess I am defending them. But if they're there and they see this guy going off on a cart, he went up, goes down, goes on a cart. What are they supposed to expect? He didn't get a hangnail. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But Glenn comes out and says, you guys created this. And now I read today that he kind of threw a dig at the media again about Arian Smith. That somebody asked him a question about him, And he said, "Oh, you're talking about the guy who can't catch the ball." So it's like, don't like I said, I'm very hopeful of Aaron Glenn.
Hmm.
I respect what he's doing, what he believes in, but don't set yourself up if it don't work because the pen is mightier than the sword, and they'll run you out of town.
They will. Yeah. You've seen it time and time again. Yeah, but look at Rex Ryan.
Yep, of course they turned on him in a heartbeat.
They did. Yeah, he brought us to two back-to-back AFC championships, and they ran him out.
Yep.
It's crazy. Yeah, I agree with your points 100%, and it's really going to be interesting to see how this team is run now with Aaron Glenn. I do feel more confident in him than Robert Saleh. I don't think that's too hard to say, but I have a better feeling about Glenn than Saleh at this point.
Well, from some of the he was mic'd up, and I watched the video that the Jets put out, and it was very impressive. It doesn't mean he's going to win 15 games, but it was nice. It was nice to see, and to be honest with you, I listened to it, I watched it, and I said, "Wait a minute." The only other coach that I ever saw coach like that was maybe Herman Edwards.
Hmm.
That was really about it because he was all over the place, and he was an ex-player. The players respected him, and high energy. And Aaron Glenn kind of reminds me a lot like that.
Hmm.
He has because he has a Parcells background. We all know about that. But I think there's some Herman Edwards there too, and we'll see how it works out. But I want to get your opinion on the preseason. I get it. Nobody wants anybody to play because they're going to get hurt. I understand that. Okay, if you're a coach, if you don't, you can't win. Either decision you make, if something goes wrong, you're going to be a loser. If you got to get them out there to get some reps, and somebody goes down, you're going to get crucified, right?
Hmm.
If the team is not ready until week 5 because they haven't had any type of continuity because they haven't really played together or gelled like the Jets offensive line and Fields and the receivers, and you could simulate it all you want in practice. Well, even I'm going to the joint practices, even that, it's you're only going to get so much. It's not like a real game. And then you add on top of that, you have a new offensive coordinator, never called a play in the NFL, right?
Hmm.
You have a special teams coach, never had to scheme something up, okay? It's fine to do it in practice, but there's no pressure in practice.
That's right.
All of a sudden, you're the offensive coordinator. Let's say your headset goes out. It's great. It's great in Florham Park, but if you're up in New Era Field, up in Buffalo, and they're going crazy up there, now you have no communication with the quarterback. How is the offensive coordinator going to react? So that's why I think if it was me, okay, my starting units, okay, you want to hold out a Quinn Williams because he has a captain going. I get all of that. Okay, I'm more concerned about the offense than the defense,
Hmm.
but and strictly because of the quarterback and the offensive line.
Hmm.
They, to me, have to get in however he wants to work. If you got 3 preseason games, they got to get in minimum a half to 3/4 of action. You want to throw in a drive in the first game, a quarter in the second game, a drive in the third game. I get, and maybe that adds up to a half. And I'm going to take my chances because, like I just went through it, you're going to end up being a loser if something goes wrong one way or the other.
Hmm. No, yeah, I
And
agree.
okay, so we're on the same page with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that they need to get some reps. I think you can't. They did because when you come down to it in week 1, that's kind of what we saw last year with the Jets. That they really, I mean, well, they just got blown out, but there was no chemistry there with the team.
No.
There was no. So you need to build that early instead of waiting into later in the season to get that developed. You got to start getting these things in check now.
100%. And then the other thing about camp, what you mentioned, so, Will McDonald is also, all of a sudden, he's like, the Watt brothers, he's like, a 22 sack guy. He's Mark Astor now, right?
Yeah.
But it's two things. Either he's really gotten that good and he's better than I ever thought he was. So I was wrong with that. Or Membo, he stinks.
Mm-hmm.
It's either one of the two. So, I remember, what's his name? The guy who tore his Achilles, the guy we picked up from the Bengals.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
what's his name? Oh man,
yeah.
it's on
I
the
know.
tip of
Oh,
my
Carl Lawson.
Carl Lawson.
Hmm.
I remember I'm going to practice, and man, Lawson looked like Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. It was that at the time Becton was playing out of position at left tackle, and he looked horrible.
Yeah, and now Becton has a Super Bowl ring. Can you believe it?
He has the Super Bowl ring, and he's playing guard where he probably should have been playing for the New York Jets.
Yeah. Oh, horrible. Yeah, but you're right. Carl Lawson. As soon as he got that injury, he was never the same.
He was never the same. Never the same.
Nope.
Especially for speed guys, edge rushers, Achilles. It's tough, man.
It is.
It's not a good thing, and. But everything so far that you hear, Mason Taylor, I'd love to pick. Once again, it's only camp, but it seems like every day you follow camp, the guys make play every game. I mean, every practice he's making plays. And I was talking to a couple of my kids the other day. I think Taylor's going to be a big part of the offense.
I think so, and I hope so. They need a tight end.
Yeah, I think Taylor is the key to Justin Fields' success. I know this is going to sound crazy, more than the running game.
Mm-hmm.
Because teams are going to stop. Everybody thinks that Jets are going to lead the NFL in rushing. If Justin Fields doesn't scare anybody, Jets aren't running the ball. I don't care who your backs are.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to have some type of form of a passing game, or they're going to put 9 men on the box and nobody's running.
Yeah.
So I think Taylor really opens things up for Fields, makes things easy for Fields. He's a safety valve in the middle of the field, all right? Because Garrett Wilson's getting doubled, all right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're daring you to throw and you can't run the ball, Wilson's doubled. You got to account for the other receiver on the other side. You got to worry about a running back maybe coming out of the backfield for a dump off. The tight end is going to be open all day long.
Yeah.
Matched up against linebackers who probably can't cover him because he's too fast.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think that Mason Taylor definitely is the key to the offense with Justin Fields, and they haven't had a great tight end since Dustin Keller. And I will say this, too. Right. I'm hoping this Arian Smith is something, because that the receiver group is the most concerning. We talked about that the last time. I mean, Alan Lazard. I mean, horrible.
Yeah, well, who's surprising me from what I hear is that the kid Reynolds that they got from the Lions.
I did hear something about him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's actually, once again, you take it with a grain of salt. It's camp, and I get all of that. It's just, maybe he's a legit number 2. Who knows?
Who knows?
Don't know. Nobody knows. I'm very interested in the joint practices. I want to see what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, I'm not going to get crazy one way or the other if they look bad or good. Because I remember last year, Rodgers carved up the Giants. It was like, it was a joke.
It was.
And look what happened to the season.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was a disaster. A complete disaster. And I'm just tired of those seasons. I want to see some hope. That's what I really want to see, because I feel as though you got to get things trending in the right direction. I can't keep going here with no playoffs. I'm tired of it. Every year, it's the same thing. No playoffs. Yep. I want to see competitive football.
I think we will. There'll probably be some growing pains early. I mean, on paper, once again, what do I know? This is just my speculation. I'm just going by the opponents and what they accomplished the last couple of years compared to what we did. I think we get off to about a 2-6 start, more or less. I think 3-5 would be a terrific job.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say they get off to a 2-6 start, then you get the bye week. Then after that, they got 9. Every one of those games are winnable, except maybe the last game of the year they play Buffalo. If Buffalo's playing for anything. So I could see them going 4-5, 5-4 the second half of the year, which would give you that 6 or 7 wins, which is kind of more or less what they're projected at.
Mm-hmm. No, it could end up that way. I hope it does. I really do, because then if it doesn't, the media is going to start writing those pens to get Glenn out of town already.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't be pretty. And of course, if they're not winning football. Oh, and let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
How much rope are you going to give Fields? Like, let's say we're 1-4, and Fields really doesn't look good. You know, he's really struggling. Are you throwing out the white flag and turning it over to Taylor because you want to win football games, or are you going to ride it out with Fields?
Ooh, I don't know. I do want to win football games, but I want to see Fields what more he could give me at that point, I guess. I don't know. That's tough because I feel as though Taylor, he's gonna win you games, but at that point we're 1-4. Are they meaningless? Are we gonna make a run? It's so hard to tell. I mean,
well, if Fields is, and once again, let's hope this isn't the case, but let's say Fields is costing the Jets games.
Mm-hmm.
They can't put points on the board. You know, they're losing 21-17, 2013, stuff like that. Glenn can't lose a locker room either.
No, yeah, then you got to put Taylor in if that's the case.
Then you had that's the way I'm looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get to a point where, you know, you're kind of hearing, well, you know, if we had a quarterback that could put points on the board, you know, things might be different.
Yeah.
You know, then I could see him going to Taylor, and the experiment didn't work. I would get that.
Mm-hmm.
But then part of me says, you know, I want to give this guy a fair shake. I want him to play 10, 12 games and see what we got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to see it.
I think it's going to be a tough call. It's going to be, and let's hope that's not the case. But I mean, you know the schedule. They open up against Pittsburgh. I mean, if Rodgers has time to throw, I just don't see it, man. It's Mike Tomlin. Rodgers. I mean, you know, I'm thinking about all in any sport. You know, any one of the major sports. Any player that was in New York and it didn't work out and they went somewhere else and they come back to play back in New York, I don't think anybody's going to have more of a chip on his shoulder than Rodgers will, because of, even with all the crap that went down with flying in from California for a 30-second meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's going to stick it to him. If they give him time, like you said, he's going to stick it to him. I mean, they did say in his first practice he threw a big interception, but since then, I guess he's been lighting it up. I saw. Who knows? Okay,
so you got the Steelers, you got the Bills. All right,
mm-hmm.
You got Tampa Bay. The Dolphins seem like they're a mess. I could see the Jets actually winning down in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, after that, I think they got the Cowboys. I guess the Panthers get sprinkled in there. Then they got Denver and London. You know, it's not an easy early start.
No, it's not. It's still a rough. Even though the Jets had a terrible record last year, they still got a tough schedule. And they got to go to Denver. They got to go to, what was it, overseas to play Denver this time.
They're playing.
I'm tired of playing
London.
Denver. I'm tired of seeing the Broncos every year with this team.
Yeah, how many years in a row? I mean, we played that lousy rain game last year, right?
Oh, it was horrible.
They were out in Denver a couple of years, 2 years in a row. I think Vera Tucker got hurt, and then I think the year before that, Hall got hurt.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Or maybe in the same game. Maybe it was the same game. I don't remember. But yeah, I'm tired of the Broncos. I really am. It's what do you think? Just going around the league, who's your favorite in the
AFC? I mean, I'm not good. I don't know. I don't want to say the Chiefs, but it's, you kind of have to put them in there. But I mean, I think it would be fair to say, I mean, the Bills, I don't know. I mean, the Ravens look like they should be the clear-cut favorites, but you never know. You just never know with that team.
No, you don't. And Lamar Jackson got to prove it in the postseason. But, you know, I was reading about the Ravens, and I know Jackson had a really good year last year. I looked at his numbers. His numbers were like insane numbers. You know, 40 plus touchdowns and only about 4 or 5 picks. It was like, that's ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll tell you what, remember when there was talks about getting Lamar Jackson here over Rodgers?
Yes.
We should have got Jackson.
They should have got Jackson. But you know what? They would have screwed him up. They would have made him a pocket passer.
Yeah, they would have. Unbelievable. Yeah. I remember that. That was a topic of discussion, and everyone was like, "No, we shouldn't get Jackson in here. Stick with Rodgers." And we ended up falling on a sword.
It's really unbelievable. Yeah, but I agree with. I think this is the year. I think Lamar Jackson puts it together in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, at least on paper, I think they're the best team in the AFC. And in the NFC, I guess you got to go with the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that's they're gonna just run it back again in the NFC. And you're seeing the mess with the Cowboys today with Micah Parsons. What's going on? That team's falling apart.
Yeah, I know it would never happen, but
oh yeah, come to the Jets.
Would you break the bank for this guy?
I would. I think you need someone like they call him like the modern day LT. The Jets need whatever they can get, as long as there's no chemistry issues. Because I think we had too much of that with Rodgers here. But you need someone that could work well with the locker room. But I'd have to really think about what I would give up to get him here.
Yeah, that would be. I'd be licking my chops if I actually got a call from the Cowboys. Are you interested? I try to figure out a package, whatever. Even though can't give away a first round pick, you might need that on the quarterback next year.
Mm-hmm.
But I would truly make a concerted effort, if possible, to get this guy for the right price. And that would be a real plus for the Jets. And just about Jackson Dart, because we discussed it before the draft, it looks like they might have the quarterback of their future. Once again, it's camp, it's early, but all reports are so far the kid's got all the goods.
Mm. We'll have to see because we always say like with camp, these players can light it up at camp, and then once the season comes around, then it's a whole different story.
Well, I'll never forget. I remember when we drafted Bryce Petty,
mm-hmm.
and I was watching him practice, and I was so impressed with his physical ability. And I said, "Oh man, this guy looks like John Elway," And man, like you say, you never know.
You never know. Yeah, I mean, Petty, I did like when they drafted him out of Baylor, and I thought he played some decent minutes for the Jets. I preferred him over that god-awful Hackenberg, and we've talked about him many times. Yeah, that's...
Oh, God.
I remember when they were on the roster at the same time. Yeah, I preferred Petty, and yeah, I wanted to see him succeed here, and it just, yeah, he really, it just didn't pan out for them.
Nope.
No.
And there's one thing that annoys me. I don't know if you saw this story yet. I don't mind the throwback uniforms, whatever era you're going back to, whatever
mm-hmm.
organization it is. But I read that when the Jets host the Dolphins, I think it was a Dolphin game this year, they're going to, what do they call it? I think the city uniforms or the city.
Oh, okay.
Like the Mets have that NYC type of
mm-hmm.
uniform or something. I mean, what are they doing? They're going to put out a uniform they never had before? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I just like the regular uniforms that they wear. I'm fine with the 80s Sack Exchange logo that we have. I will say this. We hated the Gaze Years logo. I will say this. I would love to see... I don't know if it would be permanent. That lime kind of Kelly green that Namath wore when they won the Super Bowl. I do love those original uniforms.
Yep, I agree. And then the other thing is, if they're gonna do like some type of alternative uniform, people your age in their 30s, and if you're popped on for a game or two, like the Super Bowl, the original uniforms,
mm-hmm.
to a lot of people, they never saw those uniforms on a live field.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So don't roll out some uniform like, nobody ever saw before. Who cares?
Yeah. Or the Titans uniforms.
Oh, those I actually like, but they made a big mistake. The road was great because I think it had gold pants and it was a white jersey.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones they wore at home, because of the color combination on the jersey, you couldn't read the numbers
No.
because the gold, it was awful. It was really awful. But it's not just the Jets. It's any way they could grab and make a buck. It's just the marketing and the money grab. It's just that's why professional sports, as much as I like certain things, it turns me off because at the end of the day, it's really all about the money.
Yeah, it does, and it pretty much always is at this point. And I remember the last time we talked, how did you feel about the crashing ending to the Knicks season? Because I know you were kind of following it a little bit.
Yeah, that was disappointing. It looked like they might have had something special going on there, and it just fell through the cracks. And I don't think the coach should have got fired. But
yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't follow it that closely, but I know some people who do told me that the players didn't like the coach, and the players run the NBA, the coaches are just puppets. You know how that works. It's almost like once again, I don't follow baseball, but I hear people on the radio, and it's like they say Aaron Boone really doesn't call the shots managing the Yankees.
No.
It's unbelievable.
It
really
is. The Knicks. It's like what we talked about last time. The Knicks and Jets. They made that contract. It's been almost the same amount of years they haven't won a championship.
It's just absolutely amazing. But one thing I say one thing. Aaron Glenn's calling the shots.
Oh yeah, he definitely.
There is no if, but, or whatever. The only way Woody gets involved if things don't go well this year, and then they get off to a slow start next year, then I could see Woody losing his patience because he spent $250 million on 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
So then I could see him losing his patience. But I think Woody's going to behave this year.
Yeah, and that's what we need. We need some chemistry and nothing that distract from this team to really let this come unglued. You need this to really come together at some point.
Yeah, and I'm just curious. My wife and I were talking before I called you. I grabbed a couple of tickets to the Giant preseason game. It's a Giant home game, and I got them for like 15. It was like came out to $20 a ticket.
Wow!
And I'm saying, just those $145 seats. It's insane that the NFL and teams make season ticket holders pay full price for these tickets. It really is.
It's insane. Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing. It definitely was like way back in the day. It wasn't how it is now.
Well, the Jets were the last, probably before you. It was definitely before you were born. The Jets were the last team to make their season ticket holders actually purchase the season tickets.
Wow.
Yeah, so they held out for as long as they could, and they finally gave in. But, back then, you didn't care. Tickets were $25, $50. They got to $70. But now, I'm at $145 or $155 a pop. So you're talking over $300 in parking. You're talking $350 to go watch two teams and really good chance out of the 22 players. Nobody you're going to see is going to be on the roster.
Yeah, it's insane. It definitely is. Oof. I'm hoping we get the win. I want to see them beat the Giants and get the Snoopy Bowl trophy. I mean,
I got to get that Snoopy Bowl trophy. I remember I used to talk to Domingo all the time, and he used to kill me when I got to beat the Giants. I got to beat the Giants, and he said, what's going to get you? Somebody's going to get hurt, this and that. I mean, I remember Pennington getting hurt in that game. I remember Jason Sehorn having basically a career-ending injury.
Sanchez
got hurt in that game. I think the Giants lost a big-time linebacker once. But they were fun games. I remember once. It might have been Aaron Glenn. If it wasn't Glenn, maybe it was Victor Green. I forget who it was. That's actually when the starters actually played into the third quarter, and it was the third game of the year. And the Giants have the ball and they throw a deep pass. I could see it vividly. I just can't remember the exact player. And it was a duck, and the defensive back had his back to the play, and the ball bounces right off his helmet. It might have been Glenn. And the ball goes right off the helmet, right up in the air, and whoever the Giants receiver was catches it and takes it like 60 yards for a touchdown. They just lose.
Oh, horrible.
Well, I also remember when Coughlin played for overtime. That was the game that Rex got Sanchez hurt.
That's right. Yeah, because he put him in the win. Yeah, he put him in.
He put him into win, and then Coughlin gets annoyed, and then so the Giants are coming down, and they were, so I guess somewhere within the red zones, and it's fourth down, and instead of either going for the first down or maybe going for the whatever the circumstances were, Coughlin decides with no time left on the clock, he keeps a field goal, puts the game into overtime.
Yeah,
I mean, people forget that Snoopy Bowl, forget the fact that Sanchez blew out his shoulder. Is that Coughlin was stupid enough that he got frustrated that he kicked a field goal and they played an extra quarter.
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable. Yeah,
it is. But only the Jets.
Yeah, it always is. It always is with this team. And let's hope that these preseason games, give us a sign of what the season's going to be on the bright side. And let's see them beat the Packers, Giants, Eagles. I would love to see it. And then I'm sure we'll be talking right before the season starts.
Yep, I hope to give you a call before the Steelers game.
Yeah.
But by the way, last thing here, I know Rodgers isn't with the Jets anymore, but I pick up the Post every day. There's a Rodgers story. Every day, whether it's his roommate, how they shared a bathroom, his wife, it's like he didn't go away.
Yeah, no,
if he was going to be in the New York papers every day, then the Jets should just held on to him.
Yeah,
Can't get rid of him. He's still here.
Yeah, he's still here in the press clippings. He's still here. It's unbelievable.
It really is unbelievable. I mean, I could see it right now. I could see it like the Jets are winning 23-20, and Aaron Rodgers drives them. He puts it in the end zone with 2 seconds left, and the Steelers walk off the field and they hoist them up on the shoulder and they carry them off the field in that Life Stadium because I could picture the whole thing right now.
Yeah, it's very possible. You could see it, especially with this team.
Oh God! Well, let's hope not, and we will definitely talk before that game and enjoy the rest of the summer.
Yeah, you too, Ira, and as always, go Jets. Let's head in the right direction here for once, and yeah, we'll talk before the season starts.
Sounds good. You have a good weekend.
You too, Ira. Take care.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Bye-bye.